Queta on the inside for Utah State. What kind of challenges does that present on both sides of the floor?
Well, I mean, I think there's, Utah State's size in general is going to present problems, but that's probably going to be the case every game we play. I mean, Nevada had the kid number 5. Don't remember his last name right now, but he's big, and they sort of made that a point of emphasis in their game to sort of try to go to him and get the ball inside. So I think the real problem he presents is if they try to do that, he's just as much a passer as he is a scorer. So with that much size and you're a passer, that's a little bit of a concern in terms of what we can do in dealing with him. That being said, he's their third leading scorer. He's not their leading scorer. So we got to figure out some way to try to make him be the leading scorer, as dumb as that sounds, maybe. But I think they may play better when he's not there, when he's not the one scoring. So we got to figure out a way to play in a way where we're limiting their other guys. We're limiting, the guys that when they play really well, they're the ones that are scoring, and that's going to be the case probably every game we play in this league. There's always going to be that challenge, and we got to come up with the way to technically deal with that challenge. But in the grand scheme of things, like I just said to my staff, our thing has to constantly just be, our level of caring about, our defensive principles, our level of responsibility to our defensive principles, our discipline when it comes to those things. And if we are zeroed in that way, then any technical thing we may try with a guy like, Nemus, it's going to work a lot better.
With Nick Jackson and foul trouble, like how do you address that in practice? Is it just something you think he's going to need to develop a feel for in game action, or in your career, how have you addressed that with players like him who are young and needing to play those defensive minutes inside?
Well, a lot of it's experience. A lot of it is playing game speed minutes, real minutes. With that experience, there's also what I just said, the responsibility level that goes with him playing. He's got to care like you can't believe about these things, the things I just said. If the more you care, the more responsible you are. The more you're responsible that way, the more you're in position, the more you're down in a stance, the more you're not reactive, the more you're the actor. The more you're the actor, the more refs don't call fouls on you. And those are all things that are learned. And he did that much better the second game against Nevada, obviously. He is way more than capable, and he is extremely capable. But what we're talking about here is sort of like a maturity thing, an emotional thing, a development thing, and those are the things, that we're stressing him, and those are the things he's got to grab onto, internalize himself, and if he does, then he'll learn how to keep himself out of foul trouble. So I had the same thing when I was here before with Joel Gerlach. Like you said, what can you do? He used to drive me crazy. He'd pick up 2 fouls for every game, and then I was okay, I guess I got to be the coach who, as soon as he picks up 1 foul, I'm taking him out. So then I was like, okay, there's 19 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half, and I got to take out Joel Gerlach. What'd I start him for? But so again, I think it's more the first part of his acceptance and understanding when he comes to practice every day, how hard he's got to, how locked in he's got to be, because the more he develops that habit, the more that game's going to start, and he's going to be playing that way immediately, and that'll keep himself out of foul trouble.
Against the San Jose State, they scored a lot of points. How do you control their tempo offensively and just do what you can to slow them down?
Yeah, well, that's the key. I mean, we can talk about their big guys. We can talk about, they're going to run, they're a well-coached team. They pass the ball well. To your point, I really equate it to Drake. I just talked to our staff about this. We technically, what are we going to do? This, that, all these different things. And really what it comes down to is our transition defense. Our transition defense was not good. You saw them then sort of do whatever they want offensively. So we have to be really good at controlling their transition, about having 5 guys back, them seeing, a wall, them seeing a fist, of white jerseys. You're going to have to work your tail off. And a lot of that does come from our offense. Our offense has to be good. We have to execute. We have to score. We have to execute. We have to make them work. It's those things go together, but that the key defensively is going to be exactly what you just said. We got to focus on that. That's the first thing. We're good there. Part B, we've got to stand a much better chance of being good in Part B, and then obviously that puts you in a much better chance to do C, which is rebound the ball, which is going to be crucial. So those are the things we're going to stress, and that's what we have to be good at. And to be honest, it doesn't matter if it's Utah State or whoever in this league. That's got to be a staple of ours.
And you mentioned limiting their offense and also what you guys can do offensively. How much offensively for you guys controlling the ball, controlling the time of possession, wearing them down so that they can't get out and get in behind you guys?
I don't know if it's key. I don't know if it's time of possession per se, although I think in every sport, the team that has the ball more usually wins. That's why when people want to say, they pace, whatever, I don't know. And you watch an NFL game, if I got the ball for 38 minutes and you got it for 25, you like your chances as long as you don't give it to the other team, as long as you don't turn it over. So, but more so for us, I think it's the manner in which we start our offensive possessions. When we start really well, when there's a crispness to how we start, and if we have a good variety to our starts with a crispness, then I think the different concepts and actions we have, that they may present problems for them to defend. If we don't start those possessions well, if there's not that crispness and hardness to them, then, the advantage is going to go to them. So those are the things that, offensively we have to stress. And if that equals, to me, that equals execution. If that means they're guarding for 25, I don't really care. I care, what those 25 look like. I care what those 15 to 18 look like, how crisp they are. And I think our players are starting to get that understanding too. But we still have to keep making sure that's our emphasis, and we have to keep getting better at it.
What have you guys done over the last 11 days or whatever it's been since the Nevada game?
Well, I was going to make a joke, but, it didn't come that fast. We drank chocolate, hot chocolate with whipped cream, wore reindeer, ear things. Now, I don't think we did any of that, but now our guys, what we did was, they did get a break, which I think was good for them. We've been practicing, we had to follow certain protocols coming back. But, I've liked the way we've practiced. I think we've done some good things. I said to the TV guys yesterday, we had a really good practice 2 days ago. Yesterday we didn't have a good practice, but maybe that's a good thing. So sometimes it's good to have practices like that again, they help in the development of a team, in the consistency things, the area where we have to keep getting better consistency-wise. And we're going to go out here and have a hard, sharp practice here. And I think we've done what we can to get ready for them. And, like I said, it's going to come down to our players just really being zeroed in, ready to play. And I think we've gotten better at that. And obviously Utah State's going to pose a really big challenge, when it comes to that.
So when you say they took a break, did they actually get to go back to their homes?
Yep. Some guys, to the best of our ability, we tried to get everybody to be able to do that. Not everybody did it, but to the best of our ability, that was what we tried to do. And I think it was good for guys. Guys had to come back at different times for protocol reasons, but generally, to the best of our ability, people had the chance to go home.
AJ Walker, those guys. But when did you first kind of become aware of what you had in Nick Jackson? Because I wouldn't think that he would have appeared on the tape you saw.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, when in these situations, I don't really watch that much tape to see what our own players are, because I know I'm going to coach them and ask them to do certain things, and it's going to be different, and I'm going to demand them to do certain things in a certain way. And So that's how I approached it, knowing those guys had the experience, knowing Nick didn't have any for the most part. And, just doing what we do real quickly, it was clear that he's, he has, he has very good basketball skills. He has a very good basketball IQ. He sees things. And for the way that we play, seeing things is the most important thing on both ends of the court. So he's got good skills. So that's what I saw. And then I just know from experience that, like I've said before, it's not, you can't talk about talent and potential. Some respects, talent and potential are bad words. Because if you're talking about one's talent and potential, and that means they're not doing, they're not doing it. I'm looking forward to, like, the last game with Nick, like game after game, talking about what he's doing, talking about his performance, talking about what your question was, how he's growing and not getting in foul trouble, and he's ready to play right from the start. And if he can develop that way, which is what our goal is, to keep coaching him that way, then he possesses, a lot of really good basketball skills. And like a lot of our guys, you find out then that, they're pretty athletic too. And if you go about it that way, well, then you're doing it the right way because you're getting good results. When you just talk about, oh, that guy's pretty athletic. Well, who cares if he's not tough? Who cares if he's not locked in all the time? Who cares if he's not disciplined? And I think that's Nick's learning curve right now. And it's going to continue to be, but that's part of playing college basketball, and that's part of growing up. That's part of going. And for Nick, I'll put it this way. He might be a sophomore right now. He's probably a freshman because he didn't really play last year. So basketball-wise, he's a freshman. How long is it going to take him to become a sophomore? Because you can become a sophomore in 4 games. There's no time. Those are just words, that they say when you become something up there on the hill. You become a second year. You become a third year. Nick Jackson could become a junior this year in how he plays basketball. He's got to wrap his head and his heart around that. We got to coach him that way. And if he does, I feel really good about how it's going to turn out because he's got really good basketball skills and a high basketball IQ.
As I look at your team, it seems like he has skills that nobody else has at that position. And I would think that's a pretty critical position in college basketball.
Well, he's very important, and in the grand scheme of things, he's important because all that does is make A.J. Walker better. And all that does is take pressure off freshman Glenn McClintock. And really what I think it comes down to is, that whole thing of the sum is great, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. That's got to be our strength, and each guy has to understand that, and he's a prime example of that. He plays well. Last game, he took 3 shots. Here we are talking about Nick Jackson. What do you mean? He took 3 shots. What are we talking about that guy for? But when you play the way he played and you take 3 shots and have 6 rebounds and 4 steals and 4 assists, and, well, you end up talking about that guy because of the way he played, because that made A.J. Walker play better. That helped Chris Joyce play better. Keaton Van Solen then can stay in his lane, and there he is, getting 6 points, 6 assists, no turnover, 6 rebounds. And now you're talking about a team winning a game. You're not talking about individuals. It's just that these individuals and how they play are what goes into a team winning a game.